Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Once again, I'm simulcasting on Rumble and Utizzle, and I hope you all are having a wonderful evening. I got on my thumbnail, this judge should be sitting in Leavenworth. Goggle that place one time. A joint correctional facility. We're going to talk about that and a lot more. We've already got one that's heading somewhere, either early retirement or sitting in the can. So anyway, while we have people coming in to enjoy the video, I'll play a few videos for you to watch and make sure my mic's working good and I come in clear tonight.
Democrat open borders plan trench single-party rule explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group, and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests. I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try. They will tell you what democracy is. Democracy is the worst, and the stalking.
The storm's on.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
He's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Now think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give the president tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on.
Hi, folks. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's nice to see you. Let me see. Angel's here. Sherry's here. Linda's here. Robin, Sin, Jess and Bean, Kathy, Awakened Trillium, Debbie, MS Motorsports, William, Common Sense. Nice to see you. Pappy Two Bears, and Wayne. All right. As I was saying earlier in my broadcasts, I have the thumbnail that I put up with the Judge of the Week, not what you're looking at on the screen. That's one that's already facing charges, 6 years in prison. Oh, we know how they take care of each other. But this one here, Judge Murphy, should be sitting in Leavenworth. Now, why do I say that? Why do I say that? He has single-handedly, I put in my title, low court. I didn't put lower court. Okay? So this is the low court. Has a temerity. Okay? Hussein Obama wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope. It's not audacity, it's temerity. And look up the words. Look up the words. It's a rude way to behave and to disturb the people you're dealing with, or to behave in an audacious or off-putting way. And that's what they're doing. He's got the temerity, the nerve, more nerve than a bum tooth to sit there and order. And I believe in an attempt to goad the administration into a talking point of, where the lefties can go, oh my God, we're in a dictatorship. It's so awful. He disrespected the court. Everybody knows that the Constitution says we all have to obey the courts. No, not the low court. Okay, some boob. I think he's from Boston and he's from Massachusetts, sitting there and putting out an order for agents to sit in Djibouti for who the hell knows how long, what kind of security they have, stopping in transit flight to take criminal aliens who are washing our hands of and have come to agreement with foreign nations to jail these dangerous convicted criminals, convicted of, I read off some of it to you, okay? One of them is for abusing children. The M word, okay? Murder, all right? Convicted, not accused. Creatures that have been creeping around our country for 25 years or more, well after final orders of deportation, and this individual appointed a month after Donald Trump won the election, supposedly by a sitting president, which now we all know was non compos mentis. This person puts these ICE agents in jeopardy, harms our international standing and diplomacy, and puts these ICE agents in danger and disrupts their lives, and also deprives American citizens domestically of added manpower to continue repelling this incursion by a foreign entity. So a hostile incursion. So even though the Supreme Court has slapped down the similar I'll call it a usurpation of the executive branch, the lower court judges, have been instructed that they have to give due deference to the executive, to the president of the United States. And no, he's totally ignoring Supreme Court precedent. He's ignoring the separation of powers in the Constitution. His low court has no jurisdiction overseas at all. No jurisdiction over how we conduct our foreign policy and our relationships with other nations. Trump would be well within his rights to pick up that phone and tell him, you figure how to straighten that order out, or you'll be making big rocks into little rocks, okay, at Leavenworth. So, or call, hey, we know that somebody with the ACLU's got some home telephone numbers of judges. Call them at midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning, Supreme Court, to threaten them. Why can't Trump pick up the phone and say, look, Roberts, you call that dope and you tell them to straighten it out, or I'll send the Marines over to Djibouti to take custody of these criminal aliens, these unlawful combatants is what I believe they should be termed as now. And they can continue the journey and put these people where they've been designated to be put for the rest of their flipping lives, and bring our captured ICE agents back and keep them safe. Send the Marine Corps down there to do it. And then tell that judge you got anything to say about it. Like I said, you'll be making big rocks into little rocks. All right? It's enough of you and enough of your Columbia University subversion of our system of government. If you can't read English, you can't comprehend English, you need to resign. And if you do comprehend English and you can read English and you're continuing to do what you're doing, you're breaking the law. Donald Trump or any president is the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. So, the more I sit there and think about it, if I was one of those ICE agents over there, what a traitorous act, what a treasonous act to do this to these individuals. Put them, have them hold over for how many weeks, a month? Frozen in some holdover, stopover country where we don't know what the political situation is over there, the security situation. This judge has no idea what our diplomatic relations with that country are. So I would consider it an emergency, that their lives are in danger because of this judge. And I would demand his immediate removal. So, but then again, there's a reason I'm not president of the United States and that Donald Trump is. And who knows what is going to be the breaking point, because they are daring him. They're daring him. And they're putting the interests of criminal aliens over top of the health and safety of our officers and the American people. And don't forget that purple tie. So, that's my rant to begin with. It's just bubbling around in my gourd and it had to pop out. So let me see. They must have done some of this app. I can go farther back now than I ever have and say hi to people. Sometimes my screen would freeze. Let's see. I said, Flannel Cheese is here. Yeah. Rebecca, Darla, Marie. Nice to see you. Sherry's here saying hi to everybody. Richard, nice to see you. Angel's here. Brush is here. Elohim, hello. How are you? Todd's here. No freezing tonight on my screen. That's good. All right. So, and that brings us back to that dopey, I'm going to call her Dopey Dugan. Dopey Dugan. Whoa. What did I do? Get off there. There, Dopey Dugan. And she's claiming immunity, and videos came out today about her out in the hallway clearly ordering these ICE agents to go talk to the Chief Justice, how to conduct their arrest. And if you watched them, even if you haven't, I'll give you things to look out for. There's two of them in plain clothes, sitting on a bench, and judge, no, not justice. A justice is when you're on the Supreme Court, you're called justice instead of judge, okay? Justice Thomas, Justice Scalia. So this judge, along with another judge, okay, two histrionic individuals wearing black robes. And, you know, I hate to sound crass, but they probably smell like cat urine and boxed wine. And they're very upset because these ICE agents are sitting in the hallway, not in their courtroom proper. Remember that. By all rights, those two ICE agents had no responsibility at all, no duty to answer any of their questions from either one of those two judges. But they did. They were polite, and one of the agents got up to go walk to the Chief Justice, judge, to hear what they had to say about courthouse policy, not courtroom, courthouse. So Dugan looks at the second one and said, well, you need to go too, or whatever she said, because the other fellow was sitting there like, well, how many of us need to go? So she effectively shooed them both off. What's her intentions? Very clear to me. Her intentions were to break the law. And then she spotted another agent down the hall and waddled at a very fast pace along with her little waddling friend to tell other agents to go to the Chief Justice. Like they all had to show up like what, this is some symposium? No, when you're in a hallway, I'm sitting in a hallway minding my business and the judge walks up to me, starts interrogating me. I'd say, hey, like anything else, I don't want to answer your questions until I have an attorney. At the very least, I don't have to say a thing what I'm doing here. And she can't compel people sitting on a bench in a hallway in a courthouse to leave. She can't compel them to do anything. She can't compel them to answer questions. She can't compel nothing. Now in her courtroom, that's another issue. And even then, if you're not on the docket, if you're not party to a case, you're a private citizen. You have every right, if you're behaving yourself, to sit in a courtroom. And if you do speak and you haven't been subpoenaed or you're not listed on any of the documents, it's called a special appearance. I'm here on a special appearance. I have a letter. I have something from the court. I haven't been summoned. I'm not party to the case, but I'm making a special appearance. And you can turn around and leave anytime you want, unless you're in the courtroom and the judge decides otherwise, you're in their realm then in the courtroom, but in the hallway, no. You know, it doesn't mean to be respectful, be rude. The ICE agents did exactly what they should have done. But they didn't know there was another one watching what was going on. So she had inside information. The reason I'm going on about this, well, because the footage came out of watching her in action in the hallway, her and her compatriot, her confederate. And people are going to be talking about it. So I would say that the ICE agents went the extra length to show deference to the court, were behaved, were not breaking any rules, had every right to be where they were, and she purposefully tried to deflect them, distract them, send them off task for the purpose of aiding and abetting a criminal, a fugitive escape. So this is very, very, very important. I'm going to put another very in there. Very important. She needs to suffer consequences. She needs to be publicly shamed. We're not going to play this game anymore. And as far as that dopey Judge Murphy that I say belongs in Leavenworth for interfering with foreign policy while the nation is under a state of emergency because of the immigration crisis, because of this alien incursion. There's enough public knowledge about why this is going on that Joe Biden was not of a proper mind, to give these so-called orders out to allow this type of thing to happen. This is evidence of subversive elements in our country trying to destroy our political system and our way of life. That's why Trump declared an emergency. Here's something I sniped off of Fox News. Joe Biden was not for open borders. He never talked about open borders where criminals of all kinds, shapes, and sizes can flow into our country at will. It was the people that knew he was cognitively impaired and that took over the auto pen. They stole the presidency of the United States and put us in great danger. Capital letter great, capital letter danger. This is all caps treason at the highest levels. So, all right, he put this out after Dugan pulled her stunt. Her intentions may have been some altruistic fever dream of world justice emanating from her chambers and not necessarily to destroy the country. The mens res, right, of her actions. But the meaning of her actions were definitely to aid and abet a criminal illegal alien from being apprehended. And they can't soft pedal it. But when you get to Murphy, the President of the United States put this truth out before Murphy made his decision to violate Supreme Court rulings and the separation of powers and to interfere with an overseas operation. And he should have read this and read it good. Maybe he did. And if he didn't, it's bad news for him because of that capital letter word, treason. I tell you what, the fly in the ointment is the media participation in spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, thinking up counter narratives and half-truths, which are the greatest lies, to mold public opinion, where the average American would think Trump was overreacting. But voices like mine are muffled, banned, shadow, okay? What, 1,617 subscribers for a half a year? Yeah, that's the way YouTube works. We all know that. Oh, that's because I don't put up good broadcasts. People don't like to listen to me. That's why it is. Or maybe it's because I'm not monetized. And if I am monetized, they really make me walk the chalk. Okay? I really got to watch what I say. Because they'll blame it on advertisers. Advertisers don't want to hear you say mean things. Like cat pee and boxed wine smells coming from certain people. But you look at a lot of these other creators that are monetized, and the filth that comes out of their mouth. A lot of upload on Twitch, which is primarily for kids, and they use the filthiest language you can imagine, descriptions of adult subjects, and then they repost it on YouTube, monetize, get 100,000 views. It's all fine. But you talk against the machine, you tell it like it is, and you'll sit around with 3 or 4 subscribers every 2 months, and there you have it. And that's where I'm at, folks. By the way, this is a totally viewer-supported channel. It's a good time to bring that up. And I have a buy me a coffee link in the description. I'm in a new week, and I appreciate everybody that helped last week. Norm and Pappy Two Bears and Miss Mender Sue and Mike and Bev, as always. So, the narrative is blinding the people. If they knew the facts as I laid them out, and they could probably be laid out, including some I have left out, in a much more salient way by others, but they're not doing it. So I have to do it my old country hillbilly way of telling you what's happening, especially with those ICE agents who, in my opinion, are in danger as we speak. So, I wouldn't have any compunction myself. As a matter of fact, I'd be thinking to myself, what took you so long? But I know that it's not something that the public will understand or accept, but is something that needs to be done at some point. Donald Trump has to give the brush off. I was going to say the finger, but there's no reason to behave that way. What did, I think it was Queen Victoria maybe, or Queen, maybe, well, it was during King, when King Henry VIII was, pick a wife, right? Somebody said, well, why doesn't he do this about so-and-so? Why doesn't he do that about so-and-so? And she said, a lion doesn't have to roar at every mouse. And, yeah, so Trump doesn't have to blow a gasket at every person who throws a pebble. But at some point, there has to be a brush off. Say, look, nobody's listening to you. This is now in the hands of the military. We have American citizens. We have officers of the law whose lives are in jeopardy right now. I'm sending the Marines down there to make sure they're safe, to complete the mission, get these alien enemies where they've been designated to go, and we're going to make sure our ICE officers are safe, and you can write all the briefs, all the pissing and moaning legalese you want to do. And if you keep it up, you'll be sitting in handcuffs. So, I don't know when that point's going to come, but it came for Dugan, didn't it? Yeah, it came for Dugan. And it has to be followed through. So, the military doesn't listen to whatever comes out of these low courts. They have there's two parallel systems of justice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right, Debbie. With the getting rid of the prohibition on propaganda. Hi, Benjamin. How you doing? Yeah, get better soon. Awakened. Oh, my. I hope you're all right. I'm trying to see what's going on. Kathy's eating and trying to type. Yeah, I would be guests on other people's shows, and I would have peanut butter and chocolate, and I would mute my mic so I could have my peanut butter and chocolate while others were talking and drink my coffee. That's the way I prefer to go live. Let other people do the talking. It stimulates my little tiny pea brain. So anyway, why am I harping on this? I'll tell you why. We're going to have another Supreme Court justice. The court overturned that dopey Beryl Howell. I don't have her picture to put up. She's repugnant looking anyway. Just imagine she's like the one I just had up. They all look pretty much the same. Stick a pair of glasses on the one I just had up, and there you got Beryl. Close enough to Beryl Howell. And Beryl Howell, for 4 months, has been tennis balled back and forth about Trump being able to fire this stupid labor board. All right? He did it, I think a week after he was put in office. He said, hey, you guys got to go, Oh, well, Beryl Howell said no. She gave them a summary judgment, no deference to the president whatsoever or to the administration. Then it got overturned. Then the appeals court, they're in, they're out, they're in, they're out. Finally, the Supreme Court put out a ruling that the labor board's got to go, that the president acted well within his powers, and that they had it was 6-3. 6-3. And the dissenters were Kagan, Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown. Just means laughing. Just mean, and Ketanji Brown. So I was kind of surprised at Kagan, because you all have heard me say in the past that I'm up in the air about her. That I thought there was some hope. I put up a quote that she did during oral arguments, I think a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks. where she said, we're not in the business of creating independent agencies. Because the big argument here is that this labor relations board, or what the hell they call themselves, were independent agency, and they could only be fired for what do they call it? For cause. And of course, if you say, well, my cause is that you stole some pencils, or I'm just not happy with your work, they would take that to court and it would be tied up for months and months or years and years. But it's at will employment. The president is the president. He can't be forced to work with people who are at cross purposes with his administration. He's an elected official. The Constitution is very clear. A president is in charge of the executive branch. A president, not some conglomerate, not some Politburo, and certainly no mention of any judges being involved in how he manages the executive branch. So with her statement, we're not in the business of creating independent agencies. I thought, well, I really thought it would be just Ketanji Brown Jackson, or whatever her name is. I don't know. I'll mix them up, Ketanji Jackson Brown. I don't know what it is. It's going to be on the ash heap of history when all this is over with. So, one of those three is going. One of those three is going. Is it going to be the first one that Trump ever mentioned when he was asked, well, how do you think you're going to, he said, I might, put up 2 justices, 3, maybe even more, maybe 4 or 5. They're saying, well, what's making you think that? He said this during his first term, very early in his first term, about 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. He said, well, Sotomayor's won. She's got high blood pressure, I heard. Remember that, folks? I tend to think that high blood pressure isn't the sole reason she'd be considered for removal. It's her obvious lack of a grasp of American history and the Constitution itself. But we'll take out blood pressure. Then you look at Ketanji Brown Jackson, or Jackson Brown, or whatever. Is it because who appointed her was incompetent and you couldn't really say she was lawfully nominated to the Supreme Court? There's some kind of doctrinal law, though, that even if something like that happened, and they went through the motions and the Senate approved, and the person was sworn in, that you really couldn't fall back on an original breach of the public trust. I don't know how that's going to play out. But I would say those 2 are my top picks. And I know who's going to be the next justice on the Supreme Court. And I think they're probably going to be the next Chief Justice. A lot of people say, well, it'd be Clarence Thomas, wouldn't it? Wouldn't he be next in line to be Chief Justice? Who do you think will be the next Chief Justice after Roberts? Put your guesses in the chats Or if you're listening after the broadcast, put your guesses in the comments. That includes sitting justices, as far as the choice, and whoever may be appointed in the future. And I'm thinking it's going to be not too far from now. We're going to get through this poo-poo storm. Other people call it other things. But because I think we're going through a exercise. We're going through a legal process, a legal enema of the judiciary. It's constipated. And it's only able to eke out these execrable rulings, like from Murphy. I've seen 3 Clarence Thomases so far. 4. Todd said he'd like to see Clarence. I want to put, let's see, I'm going to put this up. I'll put up my, I ground them into the mire of the streets. That's the one I want to put up there. Wait a minute, where is it at? So we got a unanimous for Clarence so far. There we go. There we go. Yeah, we got a unanimous for Clarence Thomas. Well, you know, have you all watched his temperament, his affect, his preferred way of operating? I'll put it that way. He's a man of few words. In a lot of ways, reminds me of my dad. My dad didn't like to argue with fools. He didn't like to draw pictures. I'll tell you a word that everybody's getting away with, that you didn't used to get away with. A lot of big creators are using it. It's called retard. You've seen that pop up. People with a million subscribers and hundreds of thousands of views, they say, oh, so-and-so's a retard. Clarence Thomas does not enjoy explaining things to retards. And, as Bush is pointing out, he is up in his age. What we'd like to see, I'd like to see him do it too. I wish he was in that role 10 years ago. But the thing is, I don't think he would enjoy it. I think he's got better things to do. Anyway, we'll get back to that. Keep thinking about it. And who do you think I consider to be the next justice on the Supreme Court and could very well be the next Chief Justice? Did you all, I'll just do a quick aside. Did you all hear anything about this? Depressed Ginger put this up, I think, 3 days ago. 2 days at least. Canada completely caves, drops all tariffs against the U.S. Nothing about that in the news. Did you all hear that? They have the power to ignore. You watch some of these lefty sites, the narrative is The tariffs are a disaster. The tariffs are costing people a lot of money. The tariff, it's bad. Trump's stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing. And then you got dopey Rand Paul. I like him most of the time, but for some damn reason, he thinks he should have the ability to meddle in Trump's tariffs. Trump just announced tariffs against the EU since they don't want to play ball. Okay? They can get their haircut. They got a haircut coming. Oh, and don't forget, they're always putting this crap out too. Here's the newest thing we're all going to worry about. West Nile virus has been detected in UK mosquitoes for the first time. Oh my God, West Nile virus. Thanks, Bill Gates. More horse you-know-what. Scare tactics. What about this? What do y'all make of this? ABC put this up. Thousands of chicks found abandoned in USPS truck have been adopted. What the hell are you talking about? In the United States Postal Service truck, thousands of chicks got put up for adoption? What are you talking about? Well, let me see what they say. Let's see. ABC News. Thousands of chicks found abandoned inside a Postal Service truck for 3 days have gone to new homes, according to the Delaware shelter that cared for them. All the surviving birds, estimated at more than 5,000 chickens, plus some others like turkeys and quails, were primarily adopted by families, rescues, and farms, according to First State Animal Center and SPCA. The chicks were part of a 12,000 bird shipment left unattended in a truck at a Delaware mail distribution center. Trapped in high temperatures without food or hydration, thousands died. According to their math, approximately 7,000, according to the State Department of Agriculture. The USPS has said it is investigating the, quote, process breakdown that occurred. Process breakdown? Or do you think somebody might be a little frustrated at the eggs coming down, that there might be several of these trucks, maybe dozens around the country, where there's a process breakdown? Oops, we opened the back door and they were all gone. I wouldn't put anything past them. I wouldn't put anything past them. Because I go on some of these lefty sites and they're showing empty egg cartons and saying people think they got it good, but it's getting ready to come. These tariffs are going to break everybody's back. People at Walmart are learning a hard lesson. You voted for it. When you get hit with big prices, just remember, you voted for it. Oh, Wake and Truly did the same thing with ostriches in British Columbia. Let me see what this one is. Trump mulls 50% tariffs on EU. 25% penalty on Apple. Yeah. President Donald Trump threatened a 50% tariff on all imports from the European Union, as well as 25% tariff on Apple products, unless iPhones are made in America. Read more. Well, yeah. UK doesn't want to play ball. All the rest, I'm not the UK. The UK is playing ball. I'm sorry. France, Italy, they better play ball. They better get together, or you're going to get nailed with a tariff. We don't need your crap. We've got so much investment coming in, so many manufacturing hubs coming in. You better wake up. Here's some garbage from Midas Trash Network. How they keep this up. I feel bad for Ashley Babbitt's family. Oh, okay, so they're acting nice. I feel bad for the family. She chose to join the attackers of the U.S. Capitol, the attackers that broke the law. The U.S. taxpayer should not pay for someone breaking the law. That's in response to the multi-million-dollar settlement to the Babbitt family. There are so many narratives the media has written in stone that are going to be hard to break through. Absolutely, 100%. She broke the law, and that's all that needs to be said. Oh, will you say the same for Judge Dugan? That traitor should have complied. More importantly, she shouldn't have attacked America. Trump should foot the bill. He's got enough money. I put up there, assassinated. Unarmed 110-pound woman surrounded by agitators. Arrests the coward that did it, along with the agitators. On a wacko's website like that, you figure I would get some kind of comment. Somebody saying you're wrong, or worse, a nasty statement, or maybe even a thumbs up, but nothing. Because why? Because they blocked me. Echo chamber. Here's the story. Here's the showdown. Harvard, which has turned into a recruitment center for communist ideologues, radical Islam, and anti-American sentiment, gender bending, you name it. It ain't what it used to be. Not that it was ever much in the first place. But Harvard sues Trump administration for blocking enrollments of foreign students. That was Kristi Noem's doing. She wrote him a letter, giving him a chance. They had to give the State Department any videos they had of students starting riots, violent protests, anti-Semitic comments or actions, along with anti-Christian, or anything of them breaking the law under the threat of criminal prosecution if they tried to evade this, I guess you call it a discovery of who they've got there, what these people are doing. They want a list of names, where the people have come from, what they've been doing on the campus. And you better be accurate and you better be complete, or you guys are going to have problems. Well, they didn't want to comply. So Kristi Noem took away their privilege of having foreign students Who went to school on a foreign student exchange? Anybody? A big name? Who was it? Who was it? That word on the street is came as a foreign exchange student, and that's how they got their college taken care of. They get big money from the United States government. Harvard gets billions of dollars. Billions. And all they do is give a bunch of subversives and Marxists a place to roost. They're colluding with the CCP and other anti-American entities. So this business of, and it is a big business, of getting foreign students exercising the privilege of having exchange students is big money. And of course, they can charge whatever crazy flipping tuition they want, because half the time or more, the U.S. is going to pay for it. The other half the time, they're sitting there pushing a decrepit old man to forgive the debt, which means the government picks up the debt. We, the taxpayer, pick up the tab, and the student is forgiven the loan. There's no debt forgiveness. There's wealth redistribution. So they didn't comply with Christian Nome. So they've been told they got, I think it's 7,000 students, international students, between 5 and 2,000 more in the pike, or it comes up to about 7,000. They got to go somewhere else. Okay, they got to go to a different college. Harvard is no longer permitted to accredit any foreign exchange students. And Harvard went cuckoo, and they went cuckoo when they didn't cooperate with the State Department. But they said 26% of their students are tangled up in this international exchange program. And they claim that if we're not able to teach foreign exchange students in the pipeline, I guess they look at it this way. And this is what I was talking about a while back. They're cultivating people to go with these Marxist ideals and pump them out into state, local, and federal government. They call it America's Public Policy Students. America's public policy students. So they seed these people like Johnny Appleseed, but they seed them all around in different areas of government and different colleges to promote the same garbage. All of them very proficient in, I'm sure, Rules for Radicals, Sal Alinsky's teachings, and Karl Marx's teachings. And it's just a hub to infest the rest of the country with anti-American beliefs. So they're suing. They're going to lose. But they claim for 70 years, Harvard University has been part of this program, and you're being arbitrary and capricious. I remember when they had Fidel Castro over as a guest speaker in the late 50s, I believe it was. In the late 50s. They were pushing this garbage since day one. Colluding with commies. But the big news in SCOTUS is this 6-3 decision about Trump having the ability, the power, to get rid of civil servants at will. At will. If this is sending a earthquake through the bureaucracy, I have to see what Harry Litman never did take down his thumbnail. I showed you all the thumbnail where it showed Trump with battered on the side of the head and a black eye, put up by this clown who goes on different news shows giving his professional opinion. He's called Talking Feds with Harry Litman. I got no idea if he's an attorney, what he did as a Fed. What did he ever accomplish? What did he ever do for this lifetime of top dollar wages, top of the line vacation time, holidays, health care, till the day he corks off? What did he ever do for this country except be a Fed, a federal worker? I got to see what he wrote down about this stuff or what he put up on his videos. But I can't believe you can put up imagery of the President of the United States being brutalized on your thumbnail, and you have no problems whatsoever. It can stay up there. If I say a word out of line, I got to sit around and look at my belly button for a week because I get taken down. But anyway, here's what they reported on this business. Harvard University has filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration for revoking its ability to enroll international students, a move the college says violates the U.S. Constitution and federal laws. That shows you right there that Harvard, unless they sharpen their pencil, shouldn't even have accreditation to teach anything about the Constitution. In a complaint filed in Boston federal court on May 23rd, oh, you mean where Judge Murphy is? Judge Murphy? Harvard described the decision as a, quote, blatant violation that has immediate and devastating effect on the university and more than 7,000 visa holders. Well, if they're seen on video behaving a certain way, they ain't going to have the visas for long. The lawsuit highlights concerns over the impact on international students' education and their ability to remain in the United States. Yeah, right. You got that right. Harvard argues that the policy change disrupts academic programs and undermines the country's tradition of welcoming global talent. Oh, like Fidel Castro? The case adds to ongoing legal battles over immigration and education policies under the Trump administration. Well, guess what? We're flushing a toilet. We're going to give a judicial enema. Suck it up. Ha ha. Well, Kristi Noem, she wrote a letter that actually said, suck it. I guess she was talking about a pickle or something. I don't know what. About some Guantanamo Bay detainees that with the ACLU, this, I'm going to call it a radical group, see what happens. A bunch of anti-American radicals ACLU. Americans want to be as happy as the residents of Martha's Vineyard when they deported all their illegal immigrants. But anyway, this is another thing they do. These detainees that are suing and mostly using the ACLU, they're able to be anonymous. You know, if you get a speeding ticket, if you get a DUI, if you get in any kind of trouble whatsoever, you're plastered over everything. You have no privacy. But they have privacy. They have anonymity because of the ACLU. Ain't that something? But anyway, these clowns were complaining about being sent to Guantanamo. And Christy Noem, I guess, wrote a letter or entered a brief. Half of these characters that were suing were already processed through Guantanamo and already delivered to their either hometown or their point of destination. The court had no jurisdiction. And the ones that were actually at Guantanamo, turns out if you keep this legal argument up, as long as this legal argument goes on, that is where you're going to sit. And nobody can change that. But if you go along with your deportation, you'll be back in your home country, like tomorrow. So what do you want to do? You want to sit in Guantanamo? Let's make this case drag out for a year. How about that? Well, they voluntarily dismissed their own case. You know what? And so this brings me to, is that what the big expansion was for illegal aliens? We thought it was for all these bureaucrats and all this and all that. All these criminal politicians and Epstein clients and something tells me I got the location Azores in my mind for some reason. Azores. Remember that, folks? Be a special place for some people. How about that? Let's see. Matt Walsh. Remember, folks, when white South Africans don't belong in South Africa even after 400 years? White American invaders in America even after 500 years? But the third world illegal migrant who got here last Tuesday is just as American as anyone else, and if you call him an invader, you're a racist. Yeah. You know, I didn't talk much about this. That boat that hit the Brooklyn Bridge. This is footage. Let me know if you all have seen this footage. It's just a short clip. But I got this off the Eastern News Services. This shows after the impact, you see a lot of these midshipmen still hanging from the masts. I'll give my thoughts on it in a second. Let me play this video. Has anybody seen this particular clip? Yeah, there are a lot of them up there. So it's a miracle more weren't hurt. I used to teach people in boating, and I always told them the only thing you do in a hurry is patch a leak. Everything else you keep calm head. That boat was pushed out there by a tug, and it either got stuck in reverse or got caught in a outgoing tide, and nobody thought to drop an anchor. Nobody thought to, or maybe there was some kind of mechanical malfunction. I don't think it was purposeful. Those masts are not going to knock down any bridge. You know, they're like matchsticks, really, when it comes to hitting cement, which is what you saw. I mean, traffic didn't even get interrupted for any amount of time whatsoever. I think it was just a combination of incompetence and mechanical malfunction. If it got jammed up in reverse, that was a nightmare scenario for that thing. So, anyway. Here you go. Biden family worried they may be running out of time to exploit Joe. They say they're going to subpoena the Mrs. Dr. Jill. We'll see what comes of that in Congress. I don't know about that Hobbit judge. Maybe they should get the Hobbit up there. Here it is. Supreme Court lets President Trump fire heads of independent labor agencies for now. That's ABC News. Yeah. Breaking, the Supreme Court conservative majority on Thursday bolstered President Trump's bid to assume full control of the executive branch agencies. Why doesn't he have full control? He's supposed to. It says in the Constitution, giving him a green light for now to his removal of the heads of National Labor Relations Board and Merit Systems Protection Board, who he fired without cause. Cause is simple. They're worthless political operatives. They're working at cross purposes with the elected president. That's simple. Well, I had a picture of him that I showed. What I'm talking about is somebody named Judge Ho, H-O. How many of you all heard of Judge Ho? I was kind of using my crooked eye to watch the chats, and I didn't see anybody mention the name of Judge Ho. Debbie's heard of Judge Ho. I put up a story about him might have been close to a year ago, where he put out a notice. He's the chief judge of the 5th District. Remember, these are district court judges. And he put out a notice telling Columbia University, we are no longer accepting any of your graduates for any intern work because they're nuts, is basically what he said. He was nice about it, but he was still pretty on the mark that these students are being taught stuff that's moronic and counter-constitutional. And that's been a while back. And I put his picture up then along with some of his quotes. I might still have that stuff in my studio. I'll have to check it out. And I said, remember his name, Judge Ho. He's laying it out there plump and plain. Well, that's exactly right. Since then, he gave the Supreme Court hell. Actually, what he did was he wrote a concurring brief. And you all have heard the story, but many of you are not clear maybe on the situation where a judge was asked to do a temporary restraining order, TRO, for people being deported. And the judge said, well, let me take a look at it. And they said, you got 42 minutes, or we're going to go over your head and take it on a higher appeal. And the judge said, I am going to give the administration 24 hours to respond. I want to hear both sides. They came up with a bunch of unsubstantiated, you played telephone in school, how at the end of the row of desks, somebody says something and then they repeat it. And when it gets to the front of the row, it's something completely different. So they're playing telephone, claiming that people are being loaded up as we speak, being shipped off to Cameroon or whatever they were dreaming up in their heads. And the judge said, I want to hear from the administration. That led to the Easter weekend threats to the Supreme Court I referred to earlier, where the Supreme Court issued a unprecedented ruling, which was patently illegal, instructing the administration to freeze all deportations till hearing from the court. There was no opportunity for the administration to inject anything into the conversation whatsoever, just a bunch of ACLU attorneys stirring a pot. Well, Judge Ho, they finally addressed it and they sent it back to the Fifth Circuit. And Judge Ho said, the way this was run was awful. The way the president was treated, the way the judge who treated who was treated poorly by the ACLU, they all deserve better. Now, this is a article from The Hill, so you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Let me see. I don't know what the beginning is. Here we go. A federal appeals court judge appointed by President Trump rebuked the Supreme Court for blocking the administration from swiftly deporting a group of Venezuelans under the Alien Enemies Act. I write to state my sincere concerns about how the district judge, as well as the president and other officials, have been treated in this case. U.S. Circuit Judge James Ho wrote in a concurring opinion. Whoa, let me get this one up here. I worry that the disrespect they have been shown will not inspire continued respect for the judiciary, without which we cannot long function. We've been saying that for a while, that the courts are going to lose their credibility if they keep this up,
If you watch every news report that pops up on my phone, they repeat the same cases, but they act like they're different cases. And to a casual reader, you would think Trump is losing badly, that the courts are all calling him unlawful, and that his policies are unconstitutional, and Trump is just a complete buffoon. But we know better. They don't put out the times when they get reversed by the appellate court and or the Supreme Court. Criticizing former presidents Clinton and Obama and Biden, who in his 7-page opinion suggested the courts aren't treating Trump with the same respect. I doubt that any court would deny any of those presidents the right to express their views in any pending case to which they are a party before issuing any ruling. Our current president deserves the same respect. No, they didn't give him a chance to say boo. On Friday, the Supreme Court, in an apparent 7-2 vote, ruled the administration cannot use the 18th Century Alien Enemies Act to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members detained in portions of Texas as their legal challenge proceeds. Let me see how much The Hill tells about this ruling. They're making it seem like Trump can't use the Alien Enemies Act, when in reality he can. The only question they asked him to clean up was how much notice they needed. Otherwise, it's a go. But they make it seem like, from what I just read, he can't use the Alien Enemies Act. That is not accurate. The only thing they got to iron out is whether to get a 12-hour notice, a 2-day notice, or a week notice, or whatever. Other than that, Trump can proceed. As an inferior court, we're duty-bound to follow Supreme Court rulings, whether we agree with them or not. We don't have to like it, but we have to do it, Ho wrote. The justices directed the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to next determine whether Trump can legally invoke the rarely used wartime law. Here they go again. It is not a wartime law. How much notice the migrants are owed before the administration can remove them from the country. They said it. Instructing the court to act expeditiously. I say 24 hours. They already given notice when Trump made his proclamation. I've discussed that before in the past. And Andrew Branca agrees with me. Ha ha. He's a good presenter. If you get a chance, Laws of Self-Defense, Andrew Branca. Ho, who is viewed as a potential Supreme Court contender if a vacancy arises during Trump's second term, pushed back on the justices for insinuating the federal district judge overseeing the case didn't act fast enough when the American Civil Liberties Union rushed to court last month, warning that migrants were being bused to an airport. That all turned out to be a bunch of malarkey. Remember that term? No malarkey. Joe said that, I think. The nation's highest court ultimately intervened in the middle of the night to temporarily block the administration from flying the migrants out of the country. We seem to have forgotten that this is a district court, not a Denny's. Ho wrote. And that is a slap in their face. They deserve it. What they did Easter weekend was a disgrace. Their ruling was a disgrace. The only two who didn't go along was Alito and Thomas. Boy, I can imagine Clarence Thomas at 1 o'clock in the morning. I bet he wasn't in any mood for this stuff. But this is the first time we've ever heard anyone suggest that district judges have a duty to check their dockets at all hours of the night, just in case a party decides to file a motion. And then that's the end of their article. They give it tags. But I think Judge Ho has cemented his position. I believe that he is going to be on the Supreme Court. And I have said that I feel that if Roberts were to have done anything was to put down a ruling that if any of those attorneys for the ACLU or anybody else causes any more trouble till Monday morning, that they would be sanctioned. That's what he should have done. Here's something for your Meta. Put this on Meta. You're paying taxes to the Epstein client list. Yeah, we're off of whatever the hell happened to Jeffrey Epstein. He's rotting in hell no matter what happened to him. Either hell on earth or hell below earth. It's the list, what we're working on now. The list. Oh my gosh, here's a video I had from a while back. This is broad daylight. I believe this was Spain. This is a prominent lady and her husband. I think she's a CEO of some business. They're walking down the sidewalk, and this van, these characters jump out and try to kidnap her off the street in broad daylight.
Appelle la police, Chloé. Oui, tu appelles le 17. Le 17, Chloé. Le 17. Le 17, oui. Le 17. Putain. Ils ont pris le bébé? Ils ont volé un bébé? Il est où le bébé? Quel bébé?
Some guy showed up with a fire extinguisher. Throwing a fire extinguisher at him. I wonder if they're new neighbors, new arrivals. What do you think? Oh my gosh. You guys get a chance. Here's the problem. And I think it's going to be a problem that goes away. The worse things get. This guy, I've told you about death rows and execution channels with Paco Rivera, right? There he is, right there in the corner, Paco. That's Paco Rivera. I've encouraged you all to give him a look. But this guy has been, guess how long ago he committed I'm going to say murder of another person. It was his girlfriend. And I won't say, watch the video for yourself. But guess how long ago he did it? If you know, don't spoil it. But if you don't know, guess. How long ago did he do it? And he's been on death row ever since the end of his trial. Sissy said 20 years. Todd said 30. Okay, we got 20 and a 30. Gregory Hunt. June 10th. Miss Minnesota gave a range, 30 to 40 years. Can you do a range on The Price is Right? How's The Price is Right? It's the one, how's that work? The one who gets the closest wins, but they can't go over. I don't have that that sound in my studio. What's that? It's kind of like a, I don't know. I'll set off some bullets. Pow! Pow! Whoa, I didn't want to hit Miss Jeep. See if I can get, what's the, pow, right in the face. Pow, pow, pow. Pow. Whoa, don't hit Mr. G. Pow, there, right between the eyes. Anyway, yeah, you can't go over. Okay, we got 15 from Debbie. Miss Sue, she's not giving a solid number. 28 from Gina. Kathy said 25. Sparky said 42. Gino went to 41. Which one is it? Okay, Miss Minister said 33 years. Diane Venezuela said 37 years. Okay, it's running. The clock's running out. Any guesses? Da 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 dun 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 boom boom. No more guesses. Diane, did you watch the video? Be honest. I said if you know it, don't tell, because it's 37 years. Sissy said 60. Oh my God. I think you just turned 60, you know. Miss Mindersue, I think you would have won if Diane had not come in under the wire and said 37. So Diane hit the nail right on the head. Might as well have a laugh out of this. Congress split between those who want to spend a ridiculous amount of money and those who want to spend even a more ridiculous amount of money. Oh, you remember it all. You were really close, Miss Mindersue. Well, Diane remembers that. Oh, that awful thing. Then that's something that takes that damn long. That needs to stop. And then it will be an effective deterrent. An effective deterrent. No tax on tips passes Senate unanimously after clarification that bribes count as tips. Well, folks, I'm going to get into in another broadcast part of the reason why we're sending these miscreants, malcontents, and illegal aliens off to other countries, and why it is so important for the judiciary to stay out of foreign affairs. Very important. I'll get into that in the next broadcast. Well, they need to move with the same alacrity, I've said it before, that they moved with Timothy McVeigh. You all remember Timothy McVeigh and the Oklahoma City bombing. And that is the template they should use from now on. 6 congressmen recently died in office. Have you all seen, this is end wokeness. We talked about Connolly, May 21st, Grijalva, March 13th, Turner, March 5th, that's all 2025. Then 2024, Pascrell, August of 24. Remember Sheila Jackson Lee, July 19, 2024. Payne Jr., April 24th. They say, what do they all have in common? Ah, yes, Miss Mindersuit Dems. Ain't that something? All right, folks. I'll leave you this one. It's funny enough. And I want to thank you all for spending your precious time with me. I got my days right now. I'm not scrambled up by missing days and dealing with little catastrophes. And once again, I want to thank you for spending your precious time with me. I hope you enjoy this little video clip. I'll be going live either Sunday or Monday. If you're subscribed, you'll know when I go live if you hit the notification bell. So if you're not subscribed, why not? So anyway, I enjoyed our time together tonight. Remember, Judge Ho from the 5th District. Who is going to crack first? Is it going to be Ketanji Brown, Sonia Sotomayor, and on the outside, I say, still has a scrap of hope to stay on there, is Kagan. I don't know what's going on. I think maybe the other two women put too much pressure on her. She needs to stand on her own 2 feet or get the hell out. All right, folks, you all have a great night. Enjoy this clip. I'll be seeing you soon. Have a great night. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
Bye-bye. 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 Okay? Bye-bye. 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 Bye. Bye. Bye-bye. 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 Bye. Bing. Ding. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's it. Bye-bye. Wave goodbye.